MJBulls is proud to announce the third annual Hemptown USA Cannabis Investor Series. 18 of the cannabis industry's top investors share their insights on investing opportunities and trends. If you're a cannabis investor or a cannabis company that's raising money, you'll want to listen to all 18 episodes. Tune into the Raising Cannabis Capital podcast on Sunday, September 27th, as we'll announce all the names of all of this year's Hemptown USA cannabis investors. And then listen to all 18 episodes on the Raising Cannabis Capital podcast beginning October 1st. For too many years, families of children with devastating illnesses have felt helpless as they watch their child suffer. Today, they're taking matters into their own hands and finally finding relief treating their child with cannabis. These are their stories.
Welcome to another episode of Love and Cannabis. I am Nina Simmons.
And I am Osiris Stephen.
And we are the proud parents of Aiden Stephen.
Hey guys, welcome to our second part of our episode with the Klein family. It's been really great, and I'm looking forward to continuing. Nina, I've been enjoying myself. How about you?
Yeah.
So guys, please, let's continue. Take us back to where your son is starting to make contact with you guys.
Yes, we want to hear all of it.
Because we saw the same thing in our son, and it's like, holy, did he just say that? Did he just do that? And it's like, just like you guys had said, it brought a tear to our eyes, and it was the same for us. It was like, oh my God, we're doing something right. After all the experimenting, all the dosing, all the things that you're just throwing at him, he's finally starting to get through, and it's just like, it's like a rebirth in a way.
It is, and it's...
Great word.
And it could be just the smallest things. And I think for me, when he went to school, because he was having so many seizures that we didn't think he would be able to go to school. So when he was able to go into the 3 pre-K program, it was a great moment for us.
Remember, he couldn't even talk. I had to teach him sign language just for him to communicate.
Yeah, because he was it's like his brain was on fire.
Constant.
So that was huge for us. And then another milestone was when he played T-ball, Harlem Little League.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
That's so cute.
Wow.
Yeah, he was able to play. And he could play in the parks, run around, climb, and take chances. It was just like one of those things where like, people are like, that's nothing. I was like, you take it for granted when your child can't do it.
Wow, big time.
It's something I think we all feel as parents of children with special needs. It's like, it's those little things. I had already come to terms with my son will never call me mommy. Like he just won't. And the first time I heard him say mommy, it was shocking. It was because I had already buried that. I had put it away already. And, because we need to do that. I feel like we have to protect ourselves because we have so much love for our babies. And we need to protect ourselves because we have to stay focused on healing them. And we don't have time sometimes, I feel like I don't have time sometimes to get into all that nitty gritty emotion because I have a job to do. I got to get this kid going. I got to get, be his advocate. I have to be his voice. I totally hear you. How many signs do Jakob have? Over 100 signs?
Oh, yeah.
He was fully signing, like functional sign language before he could talk. And even now, he's 15, and when he says mommy, I still get that little flutter. It's so funny.
He comes in the room, and he's like, mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's like,
and then he has his family. And I'm like he appreciates, like, that we exist, and it's like, he I don't know if he remembers the things that he went through, like where we used to have to.
Yeah, I wonder.
Nina, you're gonna go crazy with this one. I used to have to sew his clothes on in the morning.
Yeah.
With needle and thread because he would get into his diaper, and so we would buy him like oversized onesie type things and sew them on. I remember sewing his clothes.
Oh, that was insane.
And then pulling it on through his head and his arm. Oh my!
We used to put his pants on first,
backwards,
and then the onesie.
Yeah, the pants first, then the onesie.
Oh my God!
Or the overalls backwards. Oh my God! Because he would. he would go painting with his diaper. It was like, oh my God. The
No,
things
I
that
get
he
it.
went through.
A little escape artist.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
It's so amazing
But,
with the things you would do, for
Especially
your child.
parents, you come up with all these ideas.
It's
right?
and it's like
Yeah.
I never thought of that. It's not like it's not like there's a book for it.
We're so resourceful when we need to be,
And you find things that you didn't even think existed.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Pretty wild. So once we started him on the cannabis, we really saw a huge growth, and the community started noticing. We take him into the market, and he was, the market was like a huge issue for him before, and he would violently throw himself on the floor to get, because he wanted certain things, and he couldn't say what he wanted, so he'd be grabbing everything, and it was like a disaster. Now we had a little guy that, he asked for things and was, calm, and people asked what we were doing, and I realized that other people were asking because they genuinely wanted to know and they cared. We told them, and they're like, oh man, my sister, her daughter, has autism. You can make something for them because they keep kosher, and then this one, and the rabbi, and then this one and that one, and then someone said, there's a rabbi in town that has cancer and he's really sick, and, can you make something for him while he's on his chemo? And can you do this? And can you do that? So it ended up being that we were just in the kitchen making edibles for people for free. You were just doing baking as usual. Yeah. Just whatever just going for it. We'd say, talk to your doctor, show us what the prescription is, tell us what you need, and we'll make it. We'll buy the flour for you, we'll make your oil, we'll send it to the lab. We were, just doing a mitzvah. Mitzvah is a good deed in Hebrew. We were just doing it to help.
That's awesome.
And then as we got more serious, and we started getting people that were in expanded communities and whatnot, we went back online and we did our research, very limited budget, and we figured out back then, the whole collective model. You have to mutual benefit corporation and all that jazz.
We're in California, so it's a little bit different for us.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
you guys are back east, right?
So
yeah,
it used
New
to
York,
be,
yes.
Yeah, you guys are in New York, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So in California, it used to be that you used to have a gray area where you could technically, share cannabis among a group, as long as you guys were all part of the same club, so to speak. And the way to get into the club was there would be people that would be managers of the club, and then you would join the club by showing that you had a recommendation from a doctor to use medical cannabis, and then you would sign an agreement with us, and you'd be part of our kind of like closed circuit model where, no one talks about Fight Club, right? You were in Fight Club, you got part of the cannabis that was available. You weren't paying for it. It was all donations.
We did it all as legal as possible at the time.
Yeah.
So we had, we went to a lawyer. We didn't want to get in trouble. We weren't looking for trouble. We just wanted to help people. So we started our own collective, the Mitzvah Collective, and people would have to, give us a copy of their ID, a copy of their prescription, sign our, paperwork. And then they would get access to this. We started that because it got to the point that I was teaching full time at that time, and I was taking off so many days of work and finding substitute teachers because I was so busy fulfilling orders for people for free.
And you were seeing people. I think really what drove Shifra also is the results. People would call us back and they would say they want to continue getting it and they want to be more involved and make a bigger donation to help us because they were seeing real results. And how could Shifra how could we turn people away?
Yeah, I couldn't say no, sorry, we're not going to do this, but we couldn't sustain ourselves on it. So we started a legitimate collective, and then we started to get more serious into research. And we really just aligned ourselves with people in the industry that were like-minded, that wanted to help also. And they shared research with us. We were able to come up with specific formulas. We spoke to doctors that were doing research on autism, letting us know what terpenes were working, what terpenes they weren't working.
And for those out there that don't know, maybe we want to talk just very quickly about, terpenes are part of the chemical makeup.
Yeah, they're natural hydrocarbons found in the cannabis plant. They're also found in most plant matter. And they determine not only the taste and smell of the plant, but also the efficacy of the effect that you get. So
you could get
that,
effects.
Was that the entourage effect? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it
entourage
adds to
factor.
the entourage effect. So terpenes actually work very well on their own,
Yes.
and CBD and THC work better with terpenes. So
Full spectrum.
we ended up actually creating formulas using medical journals, already published journals from research on these terpenes and how they affect different ailments. And we started our brand, Mitzva Wellness, using these medical journals and all this research. So
and we switched from THC to CBD.
Right, but once the laws changed here in California, we phased out of using THC in our products because of licensing issues, and we weren't ready to grow up that fast yet. Get licensing was very difficult back then. So we did switch to purely using CBD at the time. You know, we still have plans to get back into the THC game. We do feel it's effective for a lot of different people. But for now, we really rely on our terpene blends for the effect that we're getting. So we noticed that certain, not only us in the house with our kids, we ended up putting our youngest daughter, who was diagnosed with ADHD and ODD, which is oppositional defiant disorder. She was diagnosed at 7 years old, and we had her on Ritalin, and she had very adverse effects from the Ritalin. She was not able to put on any weight. She had to be on like Ensure drinks, like to just keep food down.
And that was crazy.
She had migraines constantly.
Yeah.
She was absorbing vitamins. It was just a disaster.
It was depressing her too. There was a lot of stuff
Yeah,
going on.
we ended up putting her on our CBD, and she just started thriving. The only issue is that we had a really crazy issue with her because it's so funny how the life works. You know, Yaakov, our son, was diagnosed as very severe, and he took his oil in the morning, and it lasted all day for him. But we find with cannabis that it doesn't matter what size you are. Technically, you know what I mean. It really is just how your endocannabinoid system responds
Yes.
to this plant. And she burned through it. I'm telling you. But she'd be great in the morning, and by 1 p.m. the school would be calling me like, "You need to come pick up your kid."
Is she very thin?
Is she thin? She was at the time she was very, very underweight.
Yes, same thing with our son, because he was taking a lot, and people were like, "That's too much," and I'm like, I don't think so, because he was very thin, active, and I just think he had a very high metabolism. And we were talking to a cannabis doctor in New York. She was saying that CBD stores in your fat cells, but if you don't have much fat cells, you're basically burning it. Yeah.
100%. So we ended up having to redose her in the afternoon. We realized that there was a pattern. It was everything. We kept a lot of data on the kids so we could keep track of what was working and what wasn't. And by 1 o'clock, she needed a dose.
Makes
and
sense.
The school fought us on it. She went to an Orthodox Jewish girls' day school, and they fought us. They got to the point where they said, "Listen," I was like, "Can you keep it locked in the nurse's office at least?" And they said, "We need to pick her up every day. This school is a half hour from our house. We need to pick her up every day because we have nothing else to do. We need to drive her 200 feet from the school, give her CBD oil, not even THC, CBD oil, and then bring her back to school like a criminal."
We were doing the same. We did
the same.
No way. Wow.
Yeah, we did the same thing.
And that's what motivated us to create a bill in New York State where it would address that issue, where the kids who are under the medical marijuana program are using cannabis oil to treat for any ailment, that they're able to receive it while on the school grounds, or if they're at an event that was with the school or any type of institution like either a hospital or a residential treatment center, that they still be able to get their medicine. Even if if the school had to assign someone as a caregiver so that could happen, because it was crazy for us. Because I worked in New Jersey, my wife's in the Bronx, our son's like in the lower part of East Harlem. So it's like how you coordinate who's going to go and administer it.
It was nuts. Like I thought I was gonna lose my job.
Yeah, me too.
I'm supposed to only have a 30-minute lunch break.
And it's taking an hour, 2 hours to get home.
Give your kid a little plant during the day.
Because he, like you said, he was very thin at the time, and he was burning through it.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous the things that they make us, like as if we don't have it hard enough. Our lives,
Exactly.
The biggest argument that I always make about this wonderful misunderstood plant is how you can purchase even today on every street corner a pack of cigarettes that's made with tobacco that's, not a Schedule 1 drug, but it's proven to kill you. And there has not been one documented case of someone dying directly related to cannabis. And still it's Schedule 1.
It's ridiculous.
And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how people can smoke cigarettes and die. And we're fighting tooth and nail to get this going when it's perfectly safe. It's just...
Yeah, if it's done correctly.
Crazy.
And so we ended up pulling her out of school because, it was between our choice was they gave us put her back on the Ritalin and keep her here, and do what's not good for her health or take her out of school.
Wow.
And that was a huge decision for us because, we don't have a lot of options for Orthodox Jewish day schools. Our boys go to boys' school, the girls go to girls' school. And
everything was fine before this happened.
Yeah, and I'm like, look at her. She's thriving in school. Why wouldn't you want to keep her? You're saying she's doing so well. And it's like, well, it's legal matters, all that baloney. This is back in 2016. So, now in California, like you said, like the bill that you guys were working on. So that has passed here in California,
Congrats.
but this is way before then. So, we made huge decisions as a family. If we were going to go through making our own brand and really supporting the community and doing this, we knew we were going to get backlash. We knew there was, there's a lot of stigma. And we sat down with our older kids and we're like, listen, this is about to go down. If, are we game? We're only going to do this if we're all in this together. Because if we're all in it together, we can all get through it together. And, we told the kids, these are the things that are going to happen. Guaranteed. Number one, your friends are going to be talking about it. They're going to know,
And some of them are not going to be nice about it either.
Exactly. You're going to get teased about it. When we go to synagogue on Saturdays, there's going to be talk. I don't know if we're going to get kicked out. I don't know. We wanted the kids to be completely prepared because we live in a community that is so sheltered that there's so much misunderstanding because we had misunderstanding about it. We knew that we had to be the educators for this community. For them to be able to accept what we were doing.
It's a small community. Everyone knows each other, so it's something where it's amazing, in hindsight, just looking back on how far we've come, these rabbis that we're talking about are now, customers of ours, they buy regularly and it helps them, some of them with their marriage. Some of them, marriage. Hey, I mean, listen,
happy wife,
I think of myself.
Happy life.
So
it's really been a blessing in disguise because we had and this is not, this
no
is not
way.
our life plan. This is not, we have a beautiful business now and we're supporting a lot of people and it's doing so well, and our products that we've been able to formulate are so effective that it's now breached outside of the Orthodox Jewish community because they're effective. People want something that works. They don't care, if it's kosher or not. They don't keep kosher. They just want something that works, and they want to feel supported. I spoke to a woman today who is actually in New York right now. She called us a few weeks ago for her mother. Her mother's 92 years old. And she has cancer, and she just survived COVID.
Wow.
And she said her mother has given up. Her mother's doing better. She's been released from the hospital. But she said, I give up. I'm just too tired to keep going. It really knocked her off her rocker here, literally. And she wanted to explore cannabis. And she called me because she saw that they're very, very religious. And I told her, she needs something for her appetite. And I told her, you're better off with THC for appetite. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to sell you a product that's not going to work for what you need. My job is to help you get what you need, even if it's not my product. So I hooked her up with who I know is Dr. June.
Oh, yes.
June, yeah. So I send a lot of because we get there's a huge Orthodox community in New York. So we get a lot of calls because we're like an Orthodox, family brand. So we send a lot of people to June to get their prescriptions.
Oh,
and And she got her prescription, and she has called me, no joke, she calls me every day, this woman, to update me on how her mom is doing, on the dosing and this. And she never bought, she never spent one penny on our products, but people like to feel supported. And that's what we give to the community. It doesn't matter if you're Jewish, if you're not Jewish, what color you are, what sex you are, what sex you're married to. We don't care. We just want to be the brand that people know they can go to get support, because we would have loved to have that support, and we worked so hard to be knowledgeable enough to give other people the support that we didn't have, to make it a little bit easier for someone else. And, Alex is my rock. We get through this together. We got through all this together. And, it's kind of, they always say, like, when you have a special needs child, it can go one of two ways.
True.
It either drives you apart or it brings you together.
Yes.
And between the kids and this business, it's not easy. It's not easy. Every day we struggle with something, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. And we've grown so close.
I'm going to try not to cry this time.
Yeah, right.
Okay, but you know what? When Yaakov came over to us, he was on CBD for a couple of days, maybe even less. Okay, he came over to us and he looked us both in the eyes and he said, "I love you."
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man.
And when that happened, I said, "You know what? This is it. I don't care how many laws we need to sift through.
Yeah.
I don't care how much red tape there is.
Wow.
I don't care how many people we have to visit and research and all this stuff." I said, we're going to move 100% forward with this because we want other people to be able to experience what we just did.
And what we realized in the beginning is we were getting calls from people that were literally on their way out. These are people that were passing away, and then they were reaching out to us because we were the last resort. And we really tried to make it our mission now to become a first choice option for people.
Yes.
You don't need to wait till you're at the end to be comforted on the way out. Yeah, you can use it to be comforted on the way out. It's a great resource, but there's no reason to. The stigma needs to be destroyed, that people don't feel like they have to wait till they're on their last leg to be able to get relief.
Well, that's interesting.
Go to a doctor that's understanding and that knows about cannabis, and then come to us. If it's THC, we'll point you in one direction. If it's CBD,
we'll provide whatever.
We'll point you to a closer direction. But we're here to help as a priority. We find out what you need, and then we make sure you get it.
Attention Cannabis Podcast listeners. You can now listen to your favorite cannabis podcast ad-free with the MJBulls mobile app. Just download the free MJBulls mobile app to your smartphone to start enjoying cannabis podcasts with no commercials. Go to Apple Apps or Google Play to get the MJBulls Cannabis Podcast app today.
So let me ask you guys a question then. How empowered did you feel after you saw all the breakthroughs and the changes that were happening, and you wanted to go back to when you had to go back to your doctors for your kids' checkups, and you're saying to them, okay, this is what we've been up to. This is what we're doing. You guys are either on board or off board. So what's that?
We can bite our tongue a lot.
Yeah, our doctors actually, we didn't go back. They actually, they discharged us from their finger.
She did say that. Yes.
Yeah. So we didn't have that opportunity. But I want to go back there and be like, hey, let's check out my kid now. That's not really my priority at this point. I mean, they're already, working on stuff. I see that the different doctors that we had are already doing the research, and, it just wasn't the right timing.
Okay.
I don't hold any grudges. It is what it is. And I'm kind of glad, I think that I would have been more passive if they were into it. I learned I was a very quiet, around my friends, I was never quiet. I was always, bubbly me, but I was very passive when it came to being an advocate. And I had to learn how to speak for my child, because if I didn't, he wouldn't get any resources, or he wouldn't get the therapies he needed. He wouldn't get, the things that he was allotted to him. that's a whole nother subject that we can get into another time.
Exactly.
I learned very quickly on that if you don't speak up, you don't get anything.
Yep,
And then when I started going to therapy groups and seeing people that were minorities and people that didn't speak English as a first language, and they were not getting the services that they were allotted because they didn't know how to ask for it. That's a whole nother thing that we do. That's for a different conversation. But, it's just, our mission has changed. Our whole life mission and goals have changed because of, our children and the effects that we see from cannabis. And, we just look at it as all a blessing.
So let's talk about formulation, because you had said something that perked up my ear, and I'm like a medical cannabis geek. I'm always looking at the research. So you said there were specific terpenes that you researched that was proven or to work with children with autism. Did I hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. So there's been research done in Israel. I know that Dr. Bonnie Goldstein here in San Diego. Yeah. So she also has done some research on terpenes. I find that it's been more extensive in Israel, and there are certain terpenes that do work very, very well for children with autism. And what's interesting is a lot of those terpenes that they're finding in their studies are terpenes that are found in certain strains that a lot of us already are using. It just needs to be in higher doses. So, for example, myrcene is one of those terpenes that our kids do really well on. So a lot of people use myrcene at night because it does help. It is a mild sedative, a natural sedative. So it can help. Sometimes it doesn't help you fall asleep, but it does help you sleep deeper and you have a better sleep. And our kids happen to do better during the day with myrcene. It happens to calm them. Sometimes it helps with seizure activity. So there's a lot of research on myrcene that's going on right now in Israel. There's also beta-caryophyllene is one of those terpenes.
That's what they said for inflammation. I know for seizures.
What was that?
I heard about that for anti-inflammatory.
Yes. So beta-caryophyllene is great for inflammation. I mean, listen, our kids are totally inflamed, gut inflammation, brain inflammation. So I feel like when you're targeting inflammation, we have two oils, a good day and a good night oil.
Yes, I was going to say.
We'll use a good day for our kid with autism, but someone that has fibromyalgia also does very well on it. And the reason that they're like, well, it can't be a miracle oil. It can't help for everything. And I'm like, listen, when you're targeting inflammation, it doesn't matter what, your side effects from what's going on in your body are coming from your inflammation. So all because you have a different diagnosis than somebody else, your core issue could be just the inflammation. So if we're treating your inflammation and we're treating someone else's inflammation, you both are going to get relief. And I think it's a holistic approach, and that's, it's using plant medicine. Another terpene that works very well, it's kind of hit and miss with autism specifically, is limonene. Some kids do very well on limonene and some get more agitated. So I always tell people that are, treating kids with autism or adults with autism, just keep an eye out and see if, the agitation increases or not. And, it also can depend on the amount of CBD you're giving. Sometimes kids with autism do better with low doses and microdosing, and some don't. Some get more agitated at low doses. So if you see that your child, you give them a low dose and they're actually becoming more agitated, it's appropriate to dose up from there, give them a higher dose because they tolerate that better. So there's definitely, our formulas probably have more terpenes than are in typical products, just because of the research that we've correlated has proven that these certain terpenes actually work synergistically together. So that's a huge component. Beta-caryophyllene is fantastic, or limonene is fantastic. But when you mix myrcene, limonene, and linalool together, you're getting a whole different effect that's been studied. It's all sciencey. I'm a geeky sciencey girl too, and this just thrills me. I can read a report and go, oh my god!
Yes.
I'd rather, I've traded in my People magazines for all of this research.
Yeah, and look, and I'm a geek, period.
So it works.
And I've always gotten excited from putting a computer together, and you put that last piece in, and it comes to life.
Yeah.
And you hear the fan go on, and you're like, you accomplished it. You completed that task. And the same thing translates over to us helping our kids. When we saw our son's eyes light up and start communicating with us, this was the missing piece. This was the last thing that we needed to plug in.
Right. And what's interesting is, you'll love this, is that the terpenes that we're finding all of these studies for, it's been there for a while. Some of these studies have been there since the 70s. Some are much newer.
That blew my mind too.
But it's all been there. It's just not new stuff. A lot of the cannabis studies are new, but the terpene studies are not. Yeah. And this is stuff that's been there all this time that we've all had access to and not known about it. So what's exciting is
a lot of it's been political.
Yeah,
exactly.
What we're doing now is we have two formulas, our Sunrise and our Sunset formula, which is the same it's the same terpene blend as Good Day and Good Night.
Okay.
And our Sunrise and Sunset have no CBD in it, and it's just the terpene blend with an MCT oil base. And the reason that we made those is because some people are already on a cannabis regimen, and they just don't have the terpene blend that they need. So this is an addition to whatever cannabis regimen you're already on, or they're effective on their own. So CBD and THC need to have other components, right? They need other cannabinoids to be as effective as they could be. But terpenes on their own are still as effective as they are. So these terpene blends can be effective even without the CBD because they're working synergistically together.
Makes sense.
So we have people that can't have CBD. For example, people on blood thinners. People that are on blood thinners should not be taking CBD, because CBD can thin your blood. So if you're already on a blood thinner, like a Coumadin or something like that, you're not going to want to take CBD, but you can still get relief and anti-inflammatory relief, anti-anxiety relief, and all these things from these terpenes alone. Some people are on certain SSRIs that they shouldn't be taking CBD with, but they can still take these terpenes and get relief.
Some people are in work environments where drug tests are involved.
Exactly, honey. Exactly. They're nervous. Even though we're THC free, you can never take that 99.999, chance if you're in a field that can't. So we have a lot of veterans, a lot of active service members that use our products, and they prefer to use the terpene blends that we have without the CBD in it to get that relief that they need.
We try to make our products accessible to as many people as possible.
Right. Exactly.
Let me ask a question about your honey. How much CBD is in there? Because I didn't notice that with your honey.
Yeah, so the honey...
You're talking about my wife, honey? Or which honey are you talking about now?
I got my hands full. I could never add another one to my life.
You call my wife honey?
It's so funny. I can count the amount of times that Alex has called me Shifra on both my hands. Like, he calls me honey since day one. So,
what do I call you?
I think Neens.
Oh, yeah, I think of something as long as it's not outside her name.
That's cute.
I feel
babe.
like
That's what I call her. Hey, babe.
Separate. Listen, there's other shippers out there. I felt like if I separated it and I called my wife something different, that it would remind me how special she is to me. So that's kind of like my little cheesy number for all you romantics out there.
Oh yeah, that's so cute. But it's funny. I call my wife babe all the time. My son comes, hey babe. I'm like, who's he talking to?
Exactly. Well, in the beginning, when Yaakov first started talking, he also called me honey because he thought that was my name.
That was hysterical.
Yeah. But so the honey is a special that we have. We only do it in September because it's the Jewish New Year, which is Rosh Hashanah. And we have a tradition of at the Rosh Hashanah table, which is on September 18th this year. Because we go by the Hebrew calendar. So we start our days at night. It's like a lunar calendar. So every year it's different, but it falls in September. We dip a piece of apple in the honey and then we eat it as a tradition to have a sweet New Year. So
but the apple is is a circular fruit. So we dip it in to signify that the whole year round
should be a sweet year.
Wow,
so
we gotta try that. Can we do that?
Yeah, let's do it. Everyone should have a sweet year.
Yeah, right. To forget
So
this year.
The little honeys are only available. We do one run for September, and they're 50 milligrams. It's a 1.5 ounce jar. So it's like a personal honey jar, which happens this year to be super sanitary because typically at the Rosh Hashanah table you have a lot of family members, and then you'll have like a communal dipping bowl and like apples cut, and everyone does like one little dip, and we hope
no double dipping.
Yeah, we pray there's no double dipping, but there's always that kid that licks their fingers and like.
It's honey. What are you gonna do?
Or the uncle that does it, whatever.
Oh my God, that one guy. It's just that one guy.
One guy. You're like, no one
I'm
do it anymore. Don't take any more honey, guys.
Yeah, I'm done.
But these are little sanitary personal honey jars. But the writing was really small. We couldn't find a sticker that fit on there so good. So they're 50 milligrams.
Oh, nice.
We do it also because we're trying to show, how creative you can get. And you don't need to, for some people, taking a tincture, a dropper in their mouth every morning or evening is the norm. And for other people, they get they really want to try it because they need it, but they're turned off by just how medicinal it seems. And, you can put it into your stir-fry vegetables. You can bake it into a cake. You can mix it into your smoothie in the morning, and you can mix it into honey and use it for your holiday.
Well, I also love the idea that I think honey is really important for us because it's part of the stigma. This is a holiday thing that we would do anyway, and it's okay that it has CBD in it. You can have this on your table, and you can have relief, and it's okay. This is okay. So we find it's like pushing the boundaries, but not too hard, that people can still relate to it and understand it and be comfortable with it.
Hey, Shifra, you just wrote this is one of the times.
You called me Shifra.
I'm thinking, like, should I be calling my wife Honey during this whole podcast thing? We're not on a whole lot of podcasts.
I ran out of fingers. You're up to 11. I'll use my toe. Yeah, go ahead.
No, we welcome Honey. That's great. Go for it.
What was I going to say?
I wrote something.
My wife's latest. I'm going to plug my wife's latest blog post.
Yay!
Which talks all about, different things that you can do for COVID and for, you're going to have to read it for yourself, and you'll see. But all of this is okay. CBD is okay, and we're not in the 70s and 80s over here. There's so much research. And we know that this is a healing plant, and we need to just, hit this with as many prongs as possible. We have an education piece, we have a research piece, and we have, feedback. We have customer feedback. The biggest thing for us is, like I mentioned before, I think in part one, is that we rely on customers coming back and telling us how it worked for them. We invite them to write a feedback, like a Google review, not because we want to get, see how many 5 stars we can get, but because we want to genuinely know that it helped people, so that we can use that information to help get rid of the stigma for other people that are not sure if they should try it. Look at all the reviews of customers that have tried it and have had results. You can be one of them.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's perfect. And that's one thing I have to say about this industry is that we found a lot of people that are doing the same mission that you guys are on, and that's it. It's really a beautiful thing, and it's something that we take it for granted, but at the same time, knowing what's been happening, it's really good to know that people like yourselves are around.
Yeah, just educating others. Basically, what you're saying, you get the feedback, and then you can say, "Hey, Timmy had the same issues as you. He used it. He's about your demographic. Maybe that could work for you. So I love what you said about that. It's not so much to hype up your product, but it's we can have almost like data.
Well, this is why we have samples as well. If someone is coming to us with an issue and they're not really sure, we'll send them a sample. And, let's say someone is dealing with, we had a patient recently that was dealing with, was it eczema? What was it on this lady's hand?
Oh, that was crazy.
That was unbelievable what happened.
That was crazy.
Psoriasis?
I have the name in her file, but it was, it was a type of a skin cancer.
Oh, that's a different.
And it's a cancer that presents on her skin. You can't get rid of it. Once it disappears from one area, if it does, it appears somewhere else. The name is fleeting me right now at the moment, but she spoke to a doctor, and the doctor is a doctor that we have no idea who this lady is, not in the community. She's actually out in Texas, and the doctor recommended our topical to her. So she called us and we had a discussion with her, and she's been sending us progression pictures every few days, and her hand is clearing up, and it's a very, very painful cancer. She can't use her hand, and now she has full mobility in her hand. And we had no intention of curing cancer.
I feel like sometimes we're like an infomercial. That you watch it like 1 o'clock in the morning. Buy our cream; it's going to cure your cancer. But
I mean, we're laughing about it, but this is serious stuff.
It is serious, yeah.
It's unreal to see how her hand was. Her hand looked like a burn victim. It was almost unrecognizable. And her hand now has clean patches of skin on it without redness, and she's not in pain. She's like, I couldn't sleep because of my hand pain, and now I'm sleeping. And she's not using our sleep formula; she's just using our topical. And it's really, the terpene blend. We really think it's very powerful, and we're seeing really good results with it. So I think there's so much of this plant that needs to be explored more. Exactly. More research needs to be done, but there is current research and research that already has been done. And I think more people just need to know that they can access this research. It wasn't that hard. We just had to have the fire to do it. And, when we have kids like ours, it's a natural fire that just comes from within to know, to be able to help.
Yeah. We're definitely not, we definitely have a long road still ahead of us. The folks out there taking the Advil and the Tylenol and, even much worse things. That's still, especially older people, that still hold the stigma. Remember, the potheads on the streets and all this kind of stuff. And, we're doing whatever we can to continue to change that.
I just got to say, bless you guys and thank you
so much.
Because that's just amazing. And the fact that your child was the purpose and it became a family affair and it just grew into helping everyone else around you. So it's not just, because some people, when you get all this excitement, you're doing this great thing with your family, you want to keep it to yourselves. But you were like, no, we're willing to share this. We just can't. It's like you're doing God's work, in that sense. Like, you got to spread that love.
That's our mitzvah.
Oh, man.
Oh, and that's the...
we strongly believe that everybody is put here for a reason.
Yes.
And when God gives you such a clear mission, how can you not take it and run with it?
Yeah, that's what I said about my wife. I said the same thing. Doing this because you can think about it. You guys were meant to be
so
together
hard,
to do this. Yeah, we were just reflecting on that. It's like, I don't know if I could have done this with someone else.
Oh my God!
We say,
listen, we're gonna have to have like a parent group, like a.
We say that all the time. We're like, we are the dream team. We could have not done this with anybody else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I tell my wife all the time. I would, I say it very, very, very carefully, but I say I would do it again. I don't want to do it again.
Yeah, I know, right? But if I had to,
it's been quite a road.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. Like you said, a dream team. Dr. June called us Olympian status or something like
that for what we've been doing. It's like been amazing. But it's like,
awesome.
But when you're so modest about it and humble because you feel like, you're doing the right thing, you don't look at it as if you're changing lives.
100%.
No, we're just trying to provide the information.
This is not, people think, there's so much, there's so many ideas of the cannabis space, and if people think, they're in cannabis, they must, be sitting on a mountain of money and have a yacht and, live in a mansion, and then they come to our house and they're like, No.
We give 10% to charity.
We still don't make money, and we're still giving 10% of sales monthly to charity because this was not meant to be our power play here. This just evolved into what it is, and we're just blessed to be in this space. We really are.
And everyone else around you is fortunate as well that you guys made that decision, because all these years, someone in your community could have made that decision, but you guys did, and it was with a purpose and love, and that's what's so important, and it's beautiful. Thank you you guys.
So if someone wanted to go
get in touch with you guys,
how would they do so?
So they could find us on our website, which is mitzvahwellness.com. It's mitzvahwellness.com. We also have an Instagram at Mitzvah Wellness, and we're on Facebook and Twitter.
Awesome.
You could also email us, info@mitzvahwellness.com, and really any question, any advice, we're here for everyone.
Awesome. And we appreciate that you guys are, and it's a beautiful thing, and I'm so fortunate that we got to connect with you guys, because it's like so similar. It's like we're on so opposite spectrums, but on the same parallel line.
100%. I'm excited to, really have a relationship with you guys as friends.
Oh, totally.
Definitely. I can see us all hanging out. We have to make a trip out to California.
I can't wait to see how much more your son progresses, because it doesn't stop. One thing about CBD medicine, what we're seeing with our son, it doesn't stop.
Right.
We're like, oh, shoot, you're doing this. Oh, we were fortunate to have Aiden on CBD very young. So he took it at 2.
Yeah, 2.5 years old.
Oh, wow.
Like a month after he's diagnosed.
We saw we saw that he was going to be in this spiral of different seizure meds. So we saw that, and he got it. Luckily, he got it very early on. But still, like, we're seeing progress daily. Even his neurologist, like, I can't believe it. He looks so good. Oh, everyone who sees it, like his preschool teacher. Now he's going to first grade. She's like, this is insane progress. Like
it's I know it's anecdotal, but you have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, right. They wouldn't believe you.
I can't express it. I can't express it enough to people. I literally, my son has autism. He's not going nowhere, but we saw a miracle in our home.
Yeah,
that's it.
Oh, yeah.
And we want to share it.
That's awesome.
Thank you guys so much. I had a great time.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you for sharing your story. It's amazing. We want to be like you guys, but doing podcasts.
Oh, you already are. You're better. Spreading the word.
Yes. You know what? I think that's our path, because we were trying to figure out, like, what's our motivation? What's going to be our path? To do this, and it seems like this is it. And to give you guys an opportunity to share your stories and to motivate others and have people reach out to you. And that was one of the things we did say a lot of, is that you're not alone. And that was one of our things, that we thought we were the only ones, and we were living isolated from everyone else because we thought we were the only ones. And then we started reaching out and realized that we're not.
We're right there with you.
We gotta have each other's back. That's the way we get through this.
Exactly.
Definitely. Well, guys, thank you again. We appreciate you guys coming on. We're definitely going to reconnect again, and we'll be in touch. And again, thank you again for the samples. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and happy Rosh Hashanah.
Yes, happy Rosh Hashanah.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your week, a blessed weekend, and thanks for having us.
Yeah, then we're stay safe and healthy out there.
Yeah.
You too. Take care, guys.
Thanks so much. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks for tuning in another episode of
Love and Cannabis.
I'm Osiris Stephen.
And I'm Nina Simmons.
Be strong
and stay empowered.